All right. Welcome back to another Shoe Snob podcast. Here we are with something that is not a rant. This is more what I see going on in the industry and me sharing it with all of you so you can prepare. And or start to understand. So, the pandemic changed a lot of things for the whole world, obviously, for many industries. And, in shoes, what happened is, all right, let me try to, sorry to seem like I'm having frozen efforts here, but it's not the case. I'm trying to make sure that I explain it thoroughly and clearly. So, from what I've heard, right, leather is a huge byproduct of the meat and car industry, right? So tanneries first are, not even tanneries. Those who supply the cows, let me say, first are making supply based on demand, right? So demand is how many people are eating meat versus how many vegans are there. Demand is, are we using car interiors with leather, or are we making it out of polyester fabrics and or new technological this, that, and rather, and the new electrical vehicles? Is it some crazy, I don't even know, blended synthetic that wicks away moisture and keeps you naturally cool? Who knows? I don't know what they use in electric cars. Most likely it's still leather because leather is, luxurious. But the supply of cows is based on the demand from these kind of two massive industries. And then the shoe industry is like the one who gets the scraps. And then within the shoe industry, you have your big players, your LVMHs, your Hermes, your people who make fancy bags, leather goods, etc., who own shoe brands, etc., and they come in with their big wallets and they buy the huge good stuff, And then you have, from what I've heard as well, big money Chinese companies also coming in and buying, because naturally us in the Western world, we just think about the Western brands and all of these things over here. But don't forget, China is a massive country with its own manufacturing of things that we never see over here. And so it's like a duplicate. And you may not hear about them because we're kept quite separate, but there are companies on the level of LVMH and Hermes and Tesla and whatever that are also buying these things. And we just don't realize it because, again, it's on the other side of the planet. Different cultures. We don't hear the news going on with regards to this type of industry and who's buying what. But I have heard of this where big companies come in and just put that money on the line, and a tannery is a business and they're supplying to whoever's doling it out faster and bigger. So I realize maybe you'll understand with the title of the podcast, but I'm taking a longer time to explain the whole thing that's going on. And so, this is how it was, let's just say, pre-pandemic. Things were already getting harder for the smaller shoemakers. And when I say smaller shoemakers, I don't mean like the bespoke guy. I mean like, a brand like mine that sells out of a sizable factory in Spain. But really, the Spanish, I feel like, get some of the last pickings, because a lot of the tanneries are in Italy and France. With all due respect to Italians and French, very patriotic people, and they love to supply to their culture first. And again, those who have the money, most of the big conglomerates are based in France. So, and at the same time, those conglomerates are buying up the tanneries. So you can just kind of understand the way it's going here. And so what happened was, in the good old days, tanneries had tons of stock because the market was booming. We're selling cars, people are eating meat, yada, yada, yada. Everything is good. Tanneries had stocks. A factory came and said, let me buy 100 hides of that leather, no problem, I got it in stock, ship it to you, make the shoes. Shoes are made fast, everybody's happy, clients get their shoes. Yoo-hoo. Those were the good old days. Then the pandemic came in. All of that stock that the tanneries had, see stock? A retail company's worst nightmare is immovable stock. It's cash sitting on a shelf collecting dust, cash that is not moving. So leather hides sitting on the shelf at a tannery is stuck cash. Stuck cash is worthless. So, and I've heard this directly from the horse's mouth, tanneries were stuck with millions and millions of dollars worth of leather just sitting there, nobody buying it for a period of a year. A year is a long time in a business. A year is a long time to have no money moving, to have nobody buying. So the tanneries got scared, rightfully so. And they said, yeah, we're never going to do that again. We're never going to be stuck with millions and millions of dollars worth of leather just sitting here and not be able to move it. No, sir. And so what happened is they went on a stockless system. At the same time, they implemented prepayments. Now, prepayments have always existed. It depends on, a relationship. At first you get a new client, they pay in advance. You don't know them. Doesn't matter what they promise you. You pay in advance, you get your product. You don't pay in advance, you don't get. As relationships build, you start to trust, you start to know they're good for it, they've never paid me late, I never have to chase them. You give them lines of credit. Say, okay, no problem, yeah, send me the money, I'll send you the stock, send me the money within 60 days, whatever. So this started to evaporate for many people, where relationships were once lines of credit started to evaporate, and it now became a majority pay before you get system. But on top of that, the tanneries didn't have the leather. So not only are you paying in advance, but you're paying just to start the production of the leather. Now, starting the production of the leather takes X amount of time. Now, you just got to assume that everything you get is going to be top grade and you're going to accept it. If they make you a bunch of crap, well, you can reject it. And then, either they make it for you again or they tell you tough luck. And this is where I am not a fan of tanneries, because they hold all the power. And they can just say, deal with it. And I don't always feel that they're that honest, to be honest. So, and that's another story. Some of them won't like me saying that, but, this is not a emotional podcast. We're just telling how it is here. Many businesses are cutthroat, and many factories and tanneries simply aren't honest. Let's just get real. So now the shoe factory prepays the leather factory makes the leather, it takes X amount of time, they then ship it back to the shoe factory. Shoe factory now has to cut the hide into the uppers and produce the order from XYZ brand, assuming this is a private label factory. For example, let's just use my brand. I buy shoes from X factory buys leather from Y tannery makes leather, send it back to X factory then cuts all the leather, produces the shoes, and then sends it back to me. So tannery says, oh, you now have to pay up front, deposit to get production started and balance prior to shipping the leather. Factory now says, Justin, sorry, but you got to pay the cost of at least the leather that we now need to prepay in order to get the production started, right? So cash flow systems have drastically changed since the pandemic, and that is most companies aren't liquid, just so you know. There's money always moving, but if it's not moving at the exact right amount of time, it ties you up. So, now I'm sharing, again, like I mentioned in another podcast where I was ranting, everything that I share with you is about experience and what I've learned, and I teach it to you, or I tell it to you in the hopes that you can understand the industry and how things work, and you can understand brands. And it's not just my own, because believe me, the Goodyear welted industry, we're all on the same team in reality. Some of us don't know it because we think of competition and we're small-minded like that. But in reality, we're all in the same boat. And what happens to the tanneries affects all of us. What happens to the leather supply affects all of us. What happens to many things affects all of us. So, I give you my stories because I'm dealing with it daily. Most people don't like to share the secrets, but I like to, because I feel like if we're all more knowledgeable, we can all help each other more. We can all understand each other. We cannot be picking and nit for nat and da-da-da-da-da. All that irrelevant stuff, right? We should all be a team. So, so now factory says, Justin, you got to pay, X in advance, not necessarily half or full or whatever, but to get that. And then, and then you got to pay within this certain amount of time once we produce the shoes, etc. So the system has changed, right? So now small brands like mine, it's tougher to find that initial capital to order, let's just say a 500 pair order. I want to give away my cost prices, but 500 pair order is a significant amount of money. And now, I have 3 lines, so it's like 500 pair on one line, 500 pair on the other line, and let's say 200 pairs of sneaker, 1,200 pairs. It's a lot of money. And then to come up with that amount of cash to pay that pre-deposit, is difficult. So you start to think about that, right? Start to think, how can I get that initial cash flow to then supply that? And the idea of the pre-order came about. Now, I don't know who's created the pre-order, but I've been doing it for a long time because I'm a small brand. When I buy a pair of shoes, right, I buy, let's just say for the first time, I buy around 26 to 30 pairs of a model. It's going to be 1 size 7, 1 7.5, 2 8s, 2 to 3 8.5s, 3 to 4 9s, 3 to 4 9.5s, 3 to 4 10s, 3 to 4 10.5s, 3 to 4 2 to 3 11s, 2 11.5s, 2 12s, and 1 13, right? Now, when I sell through a size, let's just say size 10 because it's a popular size, right? Production on shoes is now with this whole, the leather tannery not actually making the shoes and the leather until the factory prepays for it. Leather productions are now really 4 to 6 months. In the heyday, they were like 2 to 4 months. I don't think I ever got 2 months, 3 to 4 months. But now it's like, okay, black leather you can almost always get. Even still, everybody keeps stock black leather. It's the most sold leather in the world. But you go for your more unique leathers, etc., and it takes time because the factory now has to order from the tanner. Tanner has to make it. Tanner has to send it back to the factory. Factory has to start cutting. It delays things, and that's assuming you got the money, boom, bang, ready to pay right away. So you start the pre-order. I ordered 1,200 pairs of shoes, right? Place the order. Now I start pre-ordering the products, pre-selling, and maybe I say, okay, factory, cut me the first 200-300 pairs of my top models. Here's the money for that, right? And you start selling what you've ordered already. Or in a different case, we got these words pre-order and there's pre-sale, etc. You also can say, oh, I got this new model and I want to order it, but I want to test its likability first. So you put it on your site. It's a new model. You don't have it in stock, and you say, I'm going to order this. I'll accept pre-orders. And then you add those pre-orders to the bigger order. You pay the cost, but the profits help you pay for some of that order. Smart way of doing business, right? It makes sense for the shoemaker because not only do you test likability of certain models, but you help pay for your order in advance, you usually offer a discount so the clients feel like they're getting something in return. You know, it's like, okay, I get it. If you're asking for somebody's money in advance, you should give them something too, because they're trusting you that you'll supply that product in the future. This is a system I've been doing for a long time because, I'll tell you the hardest thing in the world about being a retail owner is the guesstimation of what's going to sell versus what's not going to sell. It's great when you sell t-shirts and you got 4 sizes, but when you have a size run of 30 pairs and there are 12 SKUs in that size run, those are hard to guess, you know, to look at what's popular. One season I could be selling size 10 left and right, and then boom, next season I'm selling 9.5. And so you order all these 10s, and the next season you sell 9.5, so you got all these 10s just sitting here and they're not selling all of a sudden. And now you're at a 9.5. It's really, this is the way it goes. So as a small brand, you're trying to juggle this, like demand versus supply versus cash flows versus 5-month productions, and you're just like, it's a lot of things going on. And so you're like, okay, well, this looks like it's doing well, so let me order some and let me allow people to buy it even though I haven't got it yet, because clearly demand's there and I keep selling it, and I don't want to lose a sale from a client saying, hey, do you have size 10? No, I'm sold out. Oh, tough luck. And then I go to XYZ and buy a different shoe. But if you allow them to buy that right there from something you've already pre-ordered, you maintain your client, they hopefully get a discount, everybody's happy. So the reason why I talk about this is because, like I said, I've been doing this for a long time. It's made sense for my brand because we're small, people trust us, I respond to every email personally, you know, I'm an honest guy and I care about my clients wearing my shoes, right? And I fight hard for those pre-orders because there's nothing better than people in the streets wearing my brand, talking about it, saying how good it feels. And the system has worked to a degree because the factory, it's a nice ecosystem of flow. You know, I wish I had all the money in the world to just buy those 1,200 pairs, boom, bang, bang, have a constant system of incoming, outgoing. But at the same time, I have a limited space, as you can see from all the red shoes on the floor here, which is not beautiful. I don't love this, but it's New York. I got a closet for a storage room, and I need a constant flow of in and out products. And so the pre-order system has worked great. Not only do you know, a GMTO is essentially a pre-order, a group made to order. A pre-order of your core models where you say, hey, I've ordered these core models, you can buy them now at this discount, and you basically lock in your pair. At the same time, if you don't, there are many people willing to pay for something and wait for it to know they're gonna get it, because sometimes you think, oh, I'm gonna wait till it gets in stock, and then the company announces it's restock and they've already sold out of the restock because 4 or 3 other people were willing to wait and paid for the pre-order to get their shoe. So, very long intro, but I had to explain the ecosystem of the shoe industry and the ecosystem of a brand like mine, because now if you start to notice, I'm not the only one doing this, and I feel this is going to become a new way of the shoe industry. All in the matter of the last quarter, in the last 3 months, Crockett & Jones has created a new pre-order system, Septième Lager has created a new pre-order system, and Norman Villalta just created a new pre-order system. So, it's the way it's going to go, because unfortunately when cash flow systems change, you have to reevaluate and move with the times. Small brands don't have liquid cash just sitting around, ready to pay 1,200 pairs of shoes. So, you know, of your core models that you constantly are ordering and you have in stock, you'll start to see more and more brands saying, hey, I'm going to order this is coming, or I've ordered this already, it's going to arrive in June, it's January. Place your orders now to secure your pair. So I do feel there'll be less and less stock. The problem is in this day and age, while the tanneries were scared of all that stock they got stuck with in the pandemic and wasn't moving, it's no different than a shoe brand. All these red boxes, you don't see them. Tons here, tons, look empty there. Tons everywhere. It's money. Money sitting there, right? So, Crockett, on the other hand, they do a pre-order. Crockett's a big brand. They got lots of money. It's a factory. They're a very smart business. I apologize for the honking outside. This is New York City, and unfortunately, this microphone is probably very sensitive. I know this is annoying, so I might try to wrap this up. But the other cool thing about the pre-order, pre-sale system is that you get to test your products. And this is one thing I like because, especially for a guy like me, I have all these ideas and designs. But buying 30 pairs is a huge risk. If you don't sell them well, you clear them and then you basically just made a little bit more than your money back. Probably just your money back, because in this day and age, you pay 5% here, 3% there, 2% there, handling fee this, handling fee that, pay me just to be on my platform, this, that. After all these percentages, you get your cost back. Free shipping this, I want to discount that, blah, blah, blah. So there's far more risk, there's far more cost to a shoe. It's no longer cost of good, final price, cost of good plus shipping, final price. No. Now you got to factor in this fee, that fee, free shipping, subsidized shipping, XYZ, lots that go into a shoe's price nowadays. And so, people are wising up. They're like, hey, I don't know if I'm going to sell this model, so maybe I should pre-order it and test. Because you could pre-order 5 pairs and say, hey, we're thinking about doing these shoes. One blows it out of the water. You sell 20, 30 pairs pre-order. Like, okay, this model is obviously a winner. And then this one over here sells 1. So right now, don't put that into your collection. Take your loss, make that 1 pair, and focus on this one that sold 30. What it means to all of you is I do feel that companies, because we live in crazy times, the news doesn't help. Every day is a panic, a drama, a fear, a this, a that, the end of the world, yada, yada, yada. And it scares people and they don't know what to do. And so, brands, we're people too. And we start to react based on movements and trends and flows and whatever, and what we see and what we do. And, we're going to also hedge our bets and play it safe too. And I can see this trend now falling like dominoes. Because literally just in the last 2 to 3 months, a bunch of brands are initiating it. And I think it means that there'll be less stock on hand and more, putting your money down to guarantee a pair in the future. I think that's going to kind of be how it goes. And again, there are different types of pre-orders. There's the pre-order where you're testing a model to see how it does. And there's the pre-order of your stock pairs that you're like, yeah, I'm definitely going to order these. So, secure your pair now with a payment with a discount. So be prepared for the pre-order culture coming in the shoe industry, because if I'm correct, there'll be a lot more brands doing it than just the ones I've seen thus far. And it's not a bad thing. It just means less instant gratification, as brands will most likely hold less stock at the chance of pre-ordering stock in the hopes to gauge popularity and also to help with cash flow to pay for other stocks. It's the way the business rolls when systems change. So, anyway, hope you've enjoyed this. Again, everything I do in the podcast mainly is, some of it's just opinions and rants and whatnot, but this is also just to share with you what's going on in the shoe industry, what I see as somebody who is on this side of the table owning a company, but at the same time, I'm a consumer. I've seen this, I've seen this in Spear & McKay for a long time, where they show a product in advance. They don't actually, I don't know if they take your money, because I don't really buy from them online. I haven't for a while, but you can notify me when it's ready. And again, these are all gauging systems to see how popular something might be, or to judge whether or not you have a secure amount of money for that product and get rid of one really fast that doesn't. We no longer live in just a simple world where you have a retail store, you buy your stock, you sell your stock. With online comes all kinds of complex ideas and situations. So anyway, I hope you've enjoyed. Do stay tuned for more. Surely I'll have more rants. Surely I'll have more ideas. Surely I'll have more opinions to lay out there. I'll try to do more podcasts. They take time, and they also take a lot of, data on my phone. So I got to be constantly getting old videos off, putting new videos on. But anyways, thanks as always for tuning in. Hope you've enjoyed. Wishing everybody a great day. Take care. Bye.